Okay, so unscathed so far this morning, although completely lost position in the last one against Samvel, who has had a good run of wins recently. Surprise, surprise. Okay. Let's have a look at the strongest players on the site playing probably 3-minute chess. Be3 is playing. So it's a bullet game. So that was pretty quick. What happened there anyway? Oh, let's just follow him again. Probably gonna have a rematch. He's not playing. What about this guy? He started again. He's playing lots of bullets. It's on the auto pairing, isn't it? Bullet auto pairing. Okay, dragon75. I'll kick off with E4. Close that. Right, King's Gambit again. It's been entertaining. I think we've got F3 instead of Bishop C4. Okay, looks good so far. I get to play Qe2 and Rook E1. Looks like a nice position. Preparing for E5. I should really slow down around about now, I think. So that looks like an interesting move. So H3 does knight G3. Let's not go into such a terrible blunder. Queen F2 better. E5 2 loosening. I think Queen F2 looks okay. Then H3. Okay. So Queen F2 looks to be a nice central sort of control position. H3, if I get the light square, Bishop F7 should be more vulnerable. Maybe Bishop C4 later. So H3 here, Bishop E6, maybe G4. This sounds too loose thing. Or knight G5, try and get the dark square bishop. Would that help? Bishop E6, knight G5, take. Pressure on F6, maybe G4 later when the knight's not there, or black plays F6. You know, the knight's problem. Say he goes back, just Rook E1. So maybe E5, take. That's Queen E5 there. Otherwise, the dark square bishop could be handy. Bishop E6, knight G5 could be handy to have that dark square bishop. Shall I go for it? Dark square bishop time. Rather than G4. I think G4 looks a bit poxy. So, well, at least immediately it looks poxy. I think it's better with the bishops to cover the weaknesses up. In fact, there is an advantage of getting rid of that one. H4. That's a pain. I don't want that rook on the H file. So knight F3 here, knight E6, Fe, queen E2, there's knight E2 again. I think back with knight F3 then. I provoked a weakness anyway. Maybe G4, G5 now. No, there's a weakness with H6. G4 here, G5. Then knight G5 and queen H4. So G5. There's also queen H4 on the cards now, knight H5. Queen H4, because that bishop's not attacking H4. Oh, I don't believe that. In fact, I can win Fe as positions are. It's just giving away piece. I don't have to lose the exchange. Queen G3 is worth looking at, I suppose. Bishop F1, Bishop H6. There's knight H5 there. Just rook E1, knight G4, there's Queen G3. I've still got things like Bishop H6 if he's not careful. I've got the G file as compensation for being a piece up. I've got a pin on D6 as well. So King F2 and Rook G1. I think just King F2 and Rook. I want to do F5, so maybe the King's better here. On F5, the Rook's loose. So I wonder actually about just Rook here to stop F5 for a moment. Approach this slowly, then Rook E2, then Rook G2. So E5, knight H4 to F5. I think Rook E2 to G2. E5 is a good one. C4, C5 is taking probably a good one. E5 here is looking even tastier, actually. Or is it? Giving some squares away. That's really need. Bishop goes back, so what? That's E6 and Queen G6 potentially. I don't think it's not that necessary. In fact, E6 would lose the Queen, so I think just Rook E2 to G2 as previously mentioned. Okay. Actually, knight C4 to drive the bishop back. That D6 is a bit vulnerable. Okay, B3 C4, C4 D5, just B3 maybe for a moment. Then Rook G2, build the pressure up. There's A4 as well, or C4. Maybe A4 is a bit annoying, but Rook G2 builds the pressure up. E5. D5, take, there's no bishop D5, rook E8, bishop D7, alright, okay, knight C4 could be handy, drive the bishop to E7, then rook G2, and if G6 then there's E5 for bishop G6, I think I'll go with that. So drive the bishop back away from G7, weakness to the last move, Rook G2, weakness to the last move, E5, then Bishop G6. Well, he's not moving back. I could force it with E5. No, D3 is a bit vulnerable though. I'll do that anyway because E3 is protecting that. EP protecting D3 at the moment. So drive the bishop back to E7. Now rook G2. And G6 is bishop G6. So my compensation for being a piece out of the G file should be pretty tasty here. Okay. Take this bishop off first. Takes. Rook takes. Does knight takes. Queen takes. I could just block. There's F6 after. I think the logical thing is probably ED. Just get the queens off then. No, actually, I don't know actually. So knight G5 is clearly not working. This is a nice pawn wedge. Knight H4 to F5. Knight H2 to G4. Rook H2. How about Rook H2? King G7. It's annoying, isn't it? E takes bishop D6. Knight moves as F6, again getting a rock around this king. What about knight D2 here? For knight E4. Or the other one, in fact. D takes. It's knight E4 is still a pin on that pawn. So I'll be threatening knight E5, but there. Right, is it time to just simplify? I think I'm just going to do that. Get that dark square bishop off. So there's knight takes D6, or there's actually knight takes D6. Okay, Queen H4 or something. I want the queens on. That threatens knight G5. Queen H4, King G7 with knight G5. If F6, there's Queen H6. So if I want the queens on, yeah, Queen H4 is a good one for knight G5. There's no distracting the rook for an embarrassing tactic, I hope. I just want knight G5 to finish the game off quickly, or Queen H6. So F6, Queen H6, King G7, Knight G5. Oh, that's a pain. Okay, what about Rook E5? On F6, there's Queen H6 for Queen H7 there. There's Rook. Bishop F3. There's Rook G5 there. Okay, I'll go for that. So everything's on G5 now. 1, 2, 3, 4 on G5, F6, Queen H6. Okay, so Rook takes G5. Oh dear, the Queen's protecting H6 here. Rook G6. I think I've made a bit of a mill out of this, but Rook G6 does seem quite crushing here. There's no major check to spoil things, I hope. And they're still mating on H7 at the end of all this. There's Rook G6, winning the Queen. Mate on H7. Yeah, I took a few risks there, probably unnecessary. I was a piece up, but thought it'd be fun to sort of keep the queen on, keep the queens on, rather than just queen takes d6. So keeping the queens on with a pressure on the king side, queen h4, tick the bots here. So rook e5 again, renewing the threat of pressure on g5, offering the knight piece back, but this attack's crashing through here. Comments or questions on YouTube? Thanks very much.